Hey everybody, this is Wayne from Tony's Hobbies. Today we're taking the Teton brushed car and we're going to convert it over to a brushless system. So here's the stock brush system with a nickel metal battery. And on our test run, we got 13 miles an hour. Now we're going to try the same stock Traxxas brush system with a 2-cell LiPo. And we're going to get 15 miles an hour. So we're going to install the Hobby Wing brushless system into this car and take a look at what our results are. So for this brushless conversion, we need the Hobby Wing Quick Run 16 BL30 and the 4500 kV motor. As an option, you can also upgrade to the metal spur gear as well as a new 2.3 millimeter shaft size pinion gear. The tools we need consist of a PH1 screwdriver bit as well as the 1.5 millimeter hex driver. Take off the motor cover with 3 simple screws and the whole motor cover will come off. Now we can take off the motor very easily. Now remove the motor mount screws and detach the motor, and the new motor should mount up exactly the same as the original. Just make sure, always add Loctite to the pinion grub screw. With this particular Hobby Wing motor, it will bolt directly to the stock motor plate without any modifications. This makes it easy to adjust the mesh. You also won't need the curved spacer, so leave it out. Now we can set the gear mesh on the motor and the spur, and to do that, use a piece of paper to set the correct spacing of the gear mesh. Also, change the connector to the right one according to your battery. Now connect the ESC to channel 2. If you're only upgrading the brushless system without changing out the spur, you're done. To make the car more durable as well as stronger, we add a metal spur gear. To remove the spur gear, we have to remove the shocks and remove 8 screws on the top plate. All the diff gears are already metal, so no need to upgrade them. Later on, you can also upgrade the drive shafts because those are plastic. We lift the center drive shaft to take off the diff ring gear and take off the bearing. There's a little pin there that we have to push out to remove the spur gear. Once we remove this pin, then we can take off the old spur gear and put on the new one. Put in the spacer, then line up the cutout, the spur gear, and put in the pin. And after that, put the large bearing back, the small bearing, and then also the pinion gear. Here's where we set up the gear mesh using the piece of paper as we previously talked about. Make sure the paper can be pulled out freely and that the gear is not too tight nor too loose. After this, put the planetary gear back in and add black grease to the diff gears. Now we put everything back in the reverse order of how we removed it, and we install our shock tower mounts and plastic gear covers. Now we'll start beginning to program the ESC. The first step is to calibrate the throttle. First, turn on the radio, then hold the small button on the ESC switch while at the same time turning on the ESC. These must be done together. Now be a red light flashing on the ESC. Make sure your throttle on the remote is in the neutral position and push the tiny switch on the ESC. Then proceed to full throttle on the remote and hit the switch again. Then go full reverse on the radio and push the switch again. Then the ESC should flash green, which means that everything is set up correctly. Now we can test the throttle. Everything functions correctly and installation is complete, and we shall go test the car. As an option, you can use a programming card to program a lot of the individual settings on the ESC, which can be found in the manual. Okay, so we're going to go test it out right now. We're going to start with a nickel metal battery with the new brushless system. Nickel metal battery, 24 miles an hour with the brushless system. Now we'll switch over to a 2200 2-cell battery. With a 2-cell LiPo, we got 29 miles an hour. Now we'll try with a 3-cell battery. Ooh. Our Teton with the 3-cell battery reached 44 miles an hour. Just as an afternote, we did change to an 18-tooth pinion gear. Although we don't have it on video, with the 18-tooth pinion gear and the same brushless system, we reached 52 miles an hour.